Well, first I want to say I'm worth more than $3.64. So here's the $3.64 that you spend on funding. Good day, Mr. Chairman Snell, members, ME-CFS patients, here today and all those watching. I'm Robert Miller, an ME-CFS patient of 25 years from Reno, Nevada. CFSAC members, we patients, thank you for listening today and for your continued efforts to help this patient population. I don't know how you guys have continued to be so diligent. I really don't. It's incredible. Thank you. I want to thank Wanda and her staff for all their assistance. They've made such a vast difference in not advising, but guiding this meeting. The first thing I want to address is a thank you to the President of the United States. For promising my wife at a recent Reno Town Hall meeting that he will talk with the NIH, he will see what they will do to increase the scientific research on ME-CFS. In her short question, she was able to contrast the multi-billion-dollar costs to the U.S. taxpayers for disability, Medicare, lost tax revenues, with a paltry $6 million NIH spending annually for research that affects, which now we have new numbers from the CDC once again, 4 million patients. She asked for help for her family and for others suffering. President Obama invoked his faith, stating that God gave us brains to figure things out and to make our lives and our environment better. Mr. President, your response gave me faith again. I've always had faith that science would improve my health, like it did for HIV and cancer patients, and based on my own family's family history of involvement in clinical trials and cancer treatments. But I know that science won't improve the health of CFS patients if there's no funding for scientists to study us. There's no funding now. We've tried to address that today, and I certainly hope that we have. I have faith that the President will change the direction of this illness, and I'm in his debt for making that commitment. Today, I call on this committee to make their bold, specific recommendation on funding. Here we are after the SOK meeting just weeks ago. Thank you, Dr. Mangan, for putting that together, because it really was a great informational meeting. I really got a lot out of it, and I appreciate it. Sitting there, I listened to researchers, clinicians, scientists discuss all the great findings, new findings, the new technology that we have to be moving forward. But with a chorus of statements that came behind that there is just no money for studies and research, or the grants are so small that they don't even want to do the research because they're not weighted. So they won't even try to do a study. How is it that illnesses that are compatible and comparable in disability and overall cost to the U.S., such as MS and autism, NIH funding is between $150 and $200 million annually, yet CFS has only $6 million. How is it there's no centers of excellence for CFS, while one of those other illnesses has 11 centers of excellence? There's 5 centers of excellence for alternative medicine funded by the NIH, which I believe is probably of great benefit, but no centers for CFS. Please understand, I support the level of funding for those illnesses, for MS and autism. I don't believe a penny should be taken from it. CFSAC has made recommendations for centers of excellence 6 times in the last 7 years, and I'm perplexed that even though the Senate Appropriations Committee directed the NIH to implement your recommendations for those centers in the 2008 budget, it's been ignored. NIH must use their God-given brains to attack this illness. And that will only happen with NIH funding, funding, funding. So that burden falls on this committee's shoulders. It's time for CFS to make the specific recommendation on funding. And I call on you to request for an equivalent amount of funding based on other illnesses that are similar of $100 million annually by 2014. NIH was able to do this with autism,
Bob, please.
MS, and many other chronic illnesses. Before I leave this table, NIH reps and other agencies will talk to you, to try to talk you down in regards to funding. Please don't let that happen. We are at the same level of funding from 1992, where there was an estimated 13,000 people with this illness. Today, they're claiming that there's 4 million. We need money. You have to ask for it. You have to demand it. I expect you to do that for me and my family and everybody else in this room and everybody watching. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.